Welcome to WorkSource Pierce Employer Spotlight, a series of video interviews with local Pierce County employers. Developed in partnership with the Department of Vocational Rehabilitation, ResCare Workforce Services, and the Employment Security Department. And here's today's Employer Spotlight.
Hello, I'm Jenny Capella, and I'm with ResCare Workforce Services, and I'm here today with another Employer Spotlight interview. Today, we're very fortunate to have Deon McNeely from TPS. And before I get started speaking with him, I just wanted to let you know that if you have any questions or comments at all, down below underneath this video is the comment section, and we'll get to that as soon as we can after the session. So, Deon, welcome.
Hey, Jenny, thanks for having me.
You're welcome. So I'd like to start off first. Tell me a little bit about yourself so that people can know that background, and a little bit about your company, jobs you have available, how to apply, those basic things.
Okay, I could do that. It's always a little confusing when I do a presentation because I work at a truck driving school, and that makes most people kind of turn their brains off and they stop listening. But really what I'd like to talk about today is our nonprofit. And what our nonprofit does is it does job placement in what we call the hidden job market. In 2008, when the recession hit, I was a police officer in the city of Tumwater. And if you remember, when recessions hit, police departments kind of shrink and start laying off. Like, there's no more crime, so we don't need cops anymore. And I wasn't sure what I was going to do. I think the Marine Corps training kind of ruined me. Like, it would have stopped me from finding a job. And I went into WorkSource, and I met some of the counselors, and they got me out of my box. Most of us are stuck in this little box of whatever we did last year. That's what we think we could do, especially in law enforcement. You're trapped. And I was really fortunate to meet the counselors at WorkSource, and they got me thinking in a new direction. And I got a job making almost twice what I was at the police department. So I really liked the opportunity to come and work with WorkSource and kind of pay the counselors back for what they did for me. When I left WorkSource, I found this hidden job market. I was trying to find a local driving job. I'm a single parent, so I couldn't take like an over-the-road driving job. I had a CDL. I thought if I could just get a paycheck coming in, I'd be okay. And I thought there was maybe 400 or 500 transportation companies in this state. So like a typical veteran, I thought I would cheat. I had a friend working at L&I down in Tumwater, and I went in and asked her to print out a list of all the transportation companies. I thought if I had their name and their address, I could apply and find a local driving job. And when she gave me that list, when she printed out that list for me, here in Washington State, there's over 6,000 registered transportation companies. That is 6,000 employers that have management, HR, IT, operations, logistics, warehouse, forklift. I mean, everything you can imagine exists in transportation. And when there's a job opening there, nobody applies for it. When we think of trucking companies, people picture truck drivers. We forget about the office and the warehouse and all the people it takes to put that truck on the road. So what our nonprofit does is it helps people pair up with those non-driving jobs. And these employers, transportation industry is not really good at recruiting people. They're focused because of the driver shortages. How do I find drivers? So they don't advertise very well to find office staff or warehouse personnel. And so for free, our nonprofit, you can come into our locations Monday through Friday between 8 and 5. There's a code word. You want to ask to talk to a placement specialist. That tells us you don't want to drive a truck, and we'll ask you background questions, find out what town you're living in. We'll reach out to the employers we work with. It's a 501c3 nonprofit, so we don't charge a penny. We don't charge this person looking for a job anything. We don't charge the employer. What we get out of it is much more important than money. The way transportation works is normally you're supposed to get your commercial driver's license, get in a truck and drive all over the country for a couple of years to get experience, and then get a good local job. And what we did is kind of broke the industry. Local companies tend to want to hire someone with experience, so they don't generally recruit out of schools. And what we did is we became a source of people. So when a company like Redaway or Old Dominion or McLean is looking for a forklift driver or an IT specialist, they actually call us. So if somebody comes in and sits with our placement specialist, and we help them find a job with a transportation company that's not driving, that person is actually doing us a favor, because that's how we get the relationships with the local trucking companies, so that our graduates, the people who get a commercial driver's license, don't have to go over the road. They can actually get a local job right out of school. And I've actually asked people several times to try to challenge us and think of a job that doesn't exist in transportation. Like I said, they have HR departments and IT departments, and we've placed nurses with companies like FedEx or UPS. Some of these companies are large and they have medical staff, and nobody would ever think of that. And when I got out of the military, no offense for people who work for the state, but everyone said go for a state job or a federal job, because those are huge organizations, right? They never shut down or lay off or furlough or do all the things they keep doing. In transportation, there are small companies like us. The trucking school right now, we're looking for about 15 instructors at our 4 locations. So anybody that wants to think about teaching somebody how to drive a truck and get a career, we're looking for those people. But we're small. We have about 60 staff. There are companies like Pepsi. Pepsi employs 149,000 more people than the state of Washington. And how many people have even thought of working on the corporate side of a company like Pepsi? So that's kind of, in a nutshell, what our nonprofit does. What was your next question?
I apologize, I had myself on mute still. So just about the application process. So let's tease this out a little bit. For the TPS part, where is the location where they would come so that they could say, I want to talk to a placement specialist?
Okay, so right now we have 4 locations. We are in Auburn, Port Orchard, Olympia, and Lakewood. And like I said, Monday through Friday between 8 and 5. You don't even need an appointment. I can give the phone number for someone to call, but we always staff a person at each campus called a placement specialist. It's always ready for somebody to come in. Their job is working with employers looking for people and people looking for those jobs. And the phone number to call if you want to set up an appointment is 253-983-0200. That number will be in the show notes down below. And no matter which location you're going into, that number can reach all 4 of them.
Okay, excellent. And then for the 15 instructors for your CDS school, is there a different way that they would apply?
Well, the best way would be to email me a resume. And when you call that number, or if you email me, which is Dion, D-I-O-N, at cdstruckschool.com. The best thing to do is get me a resume, and then I'll reach out and set up an interview.
Perfect. Okay. Thank you. So the next question I'll have in 2 parts. First of all, tell us a little bit about your experience and background working with people with disabilities, and then also working with veterans.
Okay, so yeah, that is a 2-part question. The transportation industry is so diverse. We've actually had pretty good luck with people with disabilities because there's everything from in the truck to the warehouse to the office to on the phone to web design, everything you can imagine. So I haven't seen any company that isn't able to accommodate almost any disability at any level. The veteran industry, or not industry, but the industry is really friendly towards veterans. A lot of transportation companies maintain their DoD contracts by having so many service members working for them, or especially if a person has a service-connected disability through the VA. Most of the employers that we work with are trying to figure out how to find people, and on top of their list, they're trying to figure out how to find veterans. They receive the tax credits. There's a lot of companies that we work with that are kind of like ours. Our company is veteran-owned. We're about 70% veteran staffed. We're not only veteran, but it's we're so close to JBLM that almost all the companies around here are really looking to figure out how to find the veterans. The competition to hire a veteran is actually pretty strong. So
interesting. Okay, thank you. So, we get asked a lot lately in our offices about COVID and the impact it's had on the marketplace and the workplace. Obviously, none of us can foretell the future and predict, but just love to hear any of your thoughts regarding how COVID might be impacting your industry or the companies you work with. Yeah, no,
it's it's been pretty rough for everybody across the board, whether you're laid off or you're inundated with work. The thing that we've had in the transportation industry is it's essential. So pretty much everyone we've been working with has everyone working overtime. The trucking companies were trying to figure out how to find more drivers. The driver shortage existed before the pandemic, and then during the pandemic, it was amplified because they just didn't have enough drivers to even meet the needs from before. Everyone saw when things weren't on the shelf, deliveries couldn't be made. For us, again, part of the need for needing instructors is because transportation companies need people. And one of the reasons why our nonprofit does so well is it seems like nobody wants to drive a truck. The companies have tried everything to recruit people with sign-on bonuses and higher wages. Average entry-level wage for a local driver is over $70,000 a year. And people don't go for those jobs. So the employers hate the word, but they're so desperate, they can't find people, so they're taking their current employees. They take their IT person. Oak Harbor Freight Lines had a terminal manager come through our program. And they send their current staff to schools like ours. They get trained to get a CDL, they get promoted to become a driver, and their position that they left is now vacant. So our nonprofit's job is to find somebody to fill that position. And the COVID-19 stuff has just made that bigger than it was before. So it's been pretty rough to keep up with it.
Yeah, I would imagine. And it's so interesting, the extraordinary amount of positions that are available in this industry. And as you said, people think trucking, they think driving, or trucking, going down to the docks, loading, unloading, all of those kinds of things. But there are companies like any other company with all the other jobs as you've described, IT, HR, whatever that might be. So thank you for that explanation. I think it's really eye-opening, and it's very important that our audience knows that so that they can approach you potentially for some of these other jobs and go in and say that they're wanting to talk to a placement specialist.
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Excellent. So wrapping up here a little bit, tell me a little bit about some of the requirements. And again, I know that your truck school is different, and the 15 instructors that you have, that might be a different set of requirements. But just in general, what are you finding in the trucking industry in terms of background checks, pre-employment, like drug screenings and licensure? And I know it's different because there's a lot of different types of jobs, but just kind of in general.
Sure. So transportation is kind of a split industry. If you're in the truck, you are federally regulated as far as marijuana being legal in the state of Washington. A lot of the office jobs and other jobs in transportation, it's legal, so they don't care. The background checks, this is actually an industry that doesn't really care. Hopefully no one takes offense at this, because I've had recruiters actually say these words. I've had recruiters say, I don't care if somebody was a base commander, stay-at-home parent, or in prison. 10 years incarcerated and 10 years in the military is kind of the same to the recruiter, because that person is coming from a different work environment and they need to reintegrate themselves to the civilian workforce. And where, veterans, we're kind of proud of what we've done and we want to talk about it, and somebody coming out of lockup maybe doesn't want to talk about it, and the recruiter doesn't care. A couple of years ago, we had a lady that went through our program that she had just gotten out of prison after 14 years for murder. And the trucking company that hired her, sounds kind of like a joke, but he was serious. The recruiter says, of course we're going to hire her. She has a clean driving record. It's like 14 years. There's nothing on here. So, she was insurable. And, I teach classes sometimes to places like colleges or high schools. And I'm always really careful to say, I'm not saying go get a felony. I'm saying if you have something in your background now that's been a barrier some places, in transportation, it's not going to matter so much. You may lose about 1,000 employers if you have a background issue, but out of 6,000, that means you only have 5,000 options left. So this is a pretty good industry for someone with barriers to entry like that.
Okay, thank you. So is there anything else you could think of that you would like job seekers to know about any of your companies or the industry? Anything that you can think of?
Well, the main thing I would just want to reiterate one more time is that hidden job market. It really helps us maintain good relationships with local trucking companies, because very few people want to get in a truck and drive all over the country. You can do that. You can drive all over the country and get paid to see the country, but you're going to make a lot more money with a local job. Our actual company tagline is "Be home every night." So if somebody's looking for work and they come in and they sit with us, we find them a job, they're doing us a favor. So I really appreciate you letting us come in, and hopefully our whole organization can help WorkSource, because I like to kind of pay back what they did for me.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much. And just a reminder to everybody that if you do have questions or comments, please leave them below in the comment section, and we will post his phone number so that you can have that if you have specifically regarding the 15 instructor positions that he has open in the trucking school. So with that, I will say thank you again, Dion, very much, and I wish everyone a very good day.
Thank you for watching. Please feel free to contact the employer at the address shown. Tell them WorkSource sent you.